Okay, let's look at the type of knives as they're presented to you in the chapter of your Foundations of Restaurant Management textbook. So for the types of knives, the most common, the most used is going to be your French knife, the chef's knife. This is all purpose for chopping, slicing, mincing, generally about 8 to 14 inches long. I prefer about a 10 or 12-inch long knife. Personally, I have pretty small hands, and that is comfortable for me. The 8 is a little bit too small. The 12 is a little bit unwieldy. We will talk about the curved edge when we get into the knife cuts and that rocking cutting motion of the French style chef's knife. The other chef's knife is the santoku, and this is sometimes the Japanese style chef's knife. And the difference between them is the santoku has a flatter blade. It sometimes has a little bit of a curve up here on the blade, but it is flatter, and it has divots in the side of the blade, and that is so the food will release easily. And it is comfortable, and it has a well-balanced grip. To be honest, I have both. I use my French style more often, but my santoku is also really handy. I have a more expensive French chef's knife, and I have a cheaper santoku knife. That's just what I have in my home. A cleaver is a heavy rectangular knife, and this is going to chop through all types of food, and this is going to cut through bone. There's a little different motion that is used in the cleaver. We don't typically use those in the classroom, but they are very handy to have. A boning knife is going to separate raw meat from bone, and this is thin, flexible blade. It's thick. It can have a thick or less flexible blade. The boning knife and the utility knife are really similar in size. They are larger than a paring knife, and they are smaller than a chef's knife, and they come in handy. A boning knife is just a little more flexible. The slicer is for slicing through cooked meat. The blade could be as big as 14 inches. I have one, and I just find myself using my regular chef's knife a lot. This serrated knife. This is one of the most useful in the kitchen. It is long and thin. It has serrated or saw-like blade. And this is for breads, cakes, delicate items. And so this knife uses more of a sawing motion. The paring knife is very small, and this is used for trimming and paring fruits and vegetables. So this is a small knife. It has a very sharp blade. You choke up on the handle. You actually grip the entire handle in your hand, and you choke up on it. And a lot of times I even put my thumb on I pull the knife towards myself, which when we get into cutting, we'll demonstrate that more. A tourne is very similar. It has a curved, sometimes it's called the bird's beak knife, and this is for cutting into things in grooves. If you're going to do very intricate garnishing, this is important. A steak knife cuts beef steaks from loins, and typically it has a serrated edge to it. A clam knife is short. It has a blunt point. This shucks clams. It does have a sharp edge. The oyster knife is short and stubby. It has a pointed tip, and this is used for shucking oysters. So the clam knife has a sharp edge. The oyster knife, I think, usually doesn't.